Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready. And this time, we don't do this a lot, but I thought it would be good. And actually, Drake picked the topic for today. That is, we're going to do a little bit of wish casting, a little bit of wish listing.
Where's the magic wand?
Yeah, if we had one, we would do that. So,
my mom made one.
Adepticon happened just a couple of weeks back. And,
As of recording.
No, actually, as of recording, it happened yesterday.
Oh.
But as if you're watching it, it happened a couple weeks back. And they announced a lot of stuff for a lot of different games. Necromunda, Horus Heresy, 40K, Age of Sigmar, Underworlds. And some of the stuff that they showed for Age of Sigmar is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. We're sort of stoked with that Night Haunt ship man, the ferryman. Pretty cool.
Ferryman, I paid my taxes yesterday. Why do you have to do this to me?
That'd be the first taxes you ever paid. Anyway, so we thought it was pretty cool, but it wasn't everything it could have been. They didn't formally announce the summer battle tomes.
No.
They didn't tease out what are hopefully winter battle tomes that are coming. I think that would have been cool if they formally announced, hey, it's going to be Skaven and Sylvaneth or whatever it is.
I'm thinking
and
of it
then
as
in the winter, it's going to be Death and Destruction or something like that. In the same way they teased out the summer ones. That would have been cool, but they didn't go that route. Maybe that'll come up in the coming weeks, and maybe it'll already be out by the time that this video goes up. Fingers crossed. And toes, everything. But in the meantime, we wanted to talk about one of Drake's favorite, and I'm a fan of it too, but Drake's favorite factions, probably one of his most played factions between that and Night Haunt, that needs a little love.
Yes.
And that's the Gloomspite Gitz. Now, one thing to bear in mind is we're coming at this from a casual player standpoint, what we like to see on the table. So this isn't going to be about what's good for the meta or what's going to get them up the rankings in tournaments or anything like that. That's, frankly, of marginal, not uninteresting to us, but of marginal interest. But they do still, even from a casual player perspective, especially when you compare them with other armies, they have some problems. Or I shouldn't say problems, but they have some
flaws.
Some issues.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be fixed. So Drake, what do you think, if you could design the Gloomspite Gitz and make them what they are, let's say that we keep the lore pretty much the same, what would you do in terms of how they play on the tabletop?
I would say make it so that the armies sort of help each other a little more. So you would see more grots, squigs, and trolls instead of only trolls, or only squigs, or only grots.
Yeah, I think...
Or spiders. I totally forgot about spiders.
Or spiders, yeah. We don't even have that many spiders, so
we have 0 spiders.
We're not knowledgeable in the spider world. But
Spider-Man.
I think that's important. I mean, right now you have 4...
Semi-factions?
Semi-factions sort of all mashed into one. And it's like, well, this ability buffs squigs. So if you don't have any squigs, then that guy's not
useful.
Good. And this spell really helps out Moon Clan grots, which... if you brought a squig army, not super helpful. And then these trolls want to do something, but their abilities only work on other trolls. And it doesn't always work well. In fact, when they redid all the terrain features, or actually slightly before that, in the Broken Realms stuff, I think, that's when for the first time, it used to be that your terrain feature only brought back grots. And then for the first time they said, okay, well, if your general's a squig, it brings back squigs. And if your general's a troll, it brings back trolls.
That made it a little better.
It does make it a little better. And I think it starts to show that maybe they're aware of the problem. They're a little bit there. They sort of see what's going on there.
This video will help the Gloomspite Gitz.
Yeah, I'm sure they're watching our video right now. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, we got it. Battle Ready talked about it. So we're good.
$1 will help a squig.
What? Okay. So, but I do think that is a thing where you sort of end up having almost like 4 sub-factions that sort of go together, or I should say that can play together, but they don't really help each other, right? It's almost like 4 little mini armies.
Mini army. Well, technically they are minis, so would you need smaller armies for a mini army?
So what's interesting is you take that and look at the way they've done war clans, Orc war clans, which has a sort of similar issue in that there's Bone Splitters, Iron Jaws, and Cruel Boys. They're all sort of their own separate things, and then a way to play them all together where they help each other. And I wonder if Gloomspite could benefit from something like that. I don't know that we would want full-on sub-factions the way that they do it in Orc War Clans, because I think the Gloomspite is meant to be more of a mob,
yes,
rather than just, you know, separate clans. So maybe doing it the same wouldn't be quite the right way to do it. But I do think they should really expand the way that it's like, all right, if you want to play trolls, here's stuff that helps trolls.
Yes.
Right? And then you can choose from that. If you want to play squigs, here's stuff that helps squigs, and you can choose from that. And I think they should really make it a way for you to lean into it. And then if you want to bring everything, you want to have some MoonClan Grots led by a giant Mangler Squig loon boss with some troll support and a few Arachnarok spiders.
That's like a fantastic
for like, you know, sort of like your big wah, right? They should say your squig wah. They should say, all right, if you want a big wah, here's some extra stuff for you to do. So when you're taking the sub-factions, you're almost taking sort of sub-allegiances similar to Orc War Clans, but with the idea being that...
And they don't count as allies, so you still get your buffs.
Yeah, but the idea being that this way they're all working together, rather than, well, if you brought trolls, you shouldn't bring much of anything else, because then they're not going to get their buffs, right? Right now it's very segmented, and I'd like to see it more of a melting pot.
Melting pot.
So that's, I think, one thing is, I think some people call it keyword bingo, right? It's like, oh, do you have the squig keyword? Ah, it works on you. Do you not have the squig keyword? Ah, it doesn't work on you. So you have to look out for that. I think if we could end that, or at least partition it off. So maybe you want to bring trolls, and so you get all the troll stuff, and then you want to bring a Mangler Squig because you want a monster.
And it does big damage.
Maybe it doesn't get quite the same bonuses, but it's like, okay, well, we'll still bring it in.
Because it's good.
But that's separate from if you want everything, and then you get sort of rules that, you know, maybe they take away some of that keyword bingo so that stuff works on each other. All right, what else? What else do you think for the Gloomspites?
They need more battle traits. They have one.
I think that is the biggest issue with Gloomspite, is their battle trait is...
terrible.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. So first, in the first battle round, they get no battle trait.
No.
They don't have one.
They just be sad.
Because their only battle trait is the bad moon, and the bad moon doesn't even show up for the first battle round. It's not there.
So the first battle round, they're just sad little gits.
Yeah, you're playing War Scrolls.
Yeah.
Which is fine for learning the game, but when you look at all the stuff that Stormcast get, or Nurgle, or even some of the older books, like, what's a good older book?
Nighthaunt?
Yeah, Nighthaunt. Caradron, with their whole Caradron code, and you can go through one of the sub-factions, or you can sort of make your own.
Yeah.
They have all this cool stuff that you can use when you're list building your army, and Gloomspite doesn't really have that. They have this one thing. And then the other thing is, now the Bad Moon can be powerful in that it gives a bunch of different buffs, but it sort of suffers from the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, Fang's the Bad Moon, that's always good, right? Because it allows you to do D3, maybe, D3 on one unit.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, it's not nothing, but it's not super powerful. But then you get a bonus to casting, okay? Squigs can reroll. Trolls can reroll their healing.
That's so good.
The spiders do something. I forget what the spiders do.
I think their venom gets a buff.
But it's like, okay, well, if I only brought trolls, then those other things don't really matter, right? All that matters is I get the healing. So my whole thing for my whole buff is
healing.
I get a little bit of extra healing if they're in the light of the Bad Moon, and if the Bad Moon hasn't zipped off.
Yeah, that's another thing about the Bad Moon. It can go from here, you get a 6, hey, it's this here for one turn. You get another 6, it's gone.
Yep,
the Bad Moon could go away so fast.
It can go away so fast, and the bad thing about it is the randomness isn't great, but that it's also...
In other scenarios, you get 1s forever.
Yeah, but it's also pretty underpowered. It's also pretty underpowered, especially if you look at something like Nighthaunt. They get the command ability to warp across the table. They can do things in the underworlds. They can do Wave of Terror on a 10-up. They get the 6-up ward for death stuff.
Everything else in 3.0 is cool, and we aren't.
So they have all this cool stuff as part of their battle traits, and they get it from round 1. Even the stuff that stacks, like Ideneth Deepkin and Daughters of Cain, they get something round 1, right? And then it stacks up from there. And the Gloomspites they just don't have it. And even when they get it, it's not that powerful. So how would you like to see it changed?
I would like to see it so that the Bad Moon, if you're mainly trolls, if your general's the trolls, you'll get mainly troll buffs. But if you have like 1 hero, you get this buff. 2 heroes you get this buff. Like 2 heroes from another semi-faction.
So depending on the makeup of your army, it would actually give different buffs?
Yes.
That's interesting. I was thinking, just sort of like we were talking about before with sort of the different sub-allegiances, the sort of war clansy.
Yeah.
Maybe the Bad Moon gives different buffs depending on which of those you're in. Maybe the trolls like the Bad Moon because when they're fighting, the Bad Moon helps their healing and gives them extra damage. And maybe the Squigs like the Bad Moon because when they're doing it, they're getting rerolls on their movement and also +1 to charge.
I think I would do it is so spiders, for every spider hero you have, you get plus damage on venom or whatever.
Oh, so maybe the Bad Moon is like, it gives you a small buff.
But if the more heroes are
the more heroes or the more units you have of that, the buffs get bigger.
Yeah, but if you have a general
cool.
of 1 army, your buff's already at the max.
That's sort of cool. I like that idea where it's like, all right, I'm equally split between squigs and trolls. So I get half squig, half troll,
well, the
Bad Moon. Well, just for sake of simplicity. But then if it's like, if I'm all trolls, I'm all the way at the top with the troll Bad Moon abilities. If I have a little bit of everything, then everything's getting a little bit of buff from the Bad Moon. That's sort of an interesting, I like that idea. I think that would be sort of fun. It would encourage you to sort of build your list in different ways. And then you'd have to decide, ooh, I really want to bring these Mangler squigs into my trolls, but I'll lose this Bad Moon ability.
Yeah.
So what's worth it? Are the Mangler squigs making up for that, or is the Bad Moon ability better? I think that would make a lot of interesting list building choices. The other thing I would do is
it just makes it more chaotic. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want
Who doesn't want some chaos? Right?
Yeah, chaos and destruction.
I think that the other thing I would do is I would make the path of the Bad Moon more controllable.
I think I would make it so it like, depending on what you roll, it zips to the corner. If you roll 6 hits in the middle, but never so it leaves.
I would do something where you could even keep the Bad Moon rolling. I would actually have the Bad Moon on the table doing something. And you can even do it where it's like in the corner, it gives, the quarter buff. And then once it gets to here, it gives a more. And then when it's in the middle at its zenith, it gives a beggar buff. And then it starts to go off. So it's always doing something. But I also think what would be really cool is if you had something like, if you, you get to roll the die. But then if you for every charge you make, you get to add +or -1 to the die. Or for every model you kill, you get to add +or -1 to the die. So that the Bad Moon is responding to the destruction and to the violence. And maybe if you can get the die to go negative, maybe the moon comes back. So the moon was sick of you, right? It's like, I'm out of here. I'm going off the table. But then you kill a bunch of models or whatever, and the Bad Moon's like, oh, maybe I want to come back. So I think something like that would be really cool, where the Bad Moon, all the lore is it's zipping around the heavens and it's untraceable and nobody can calculate where it's going to be.
Except for Scrabrat, sort of.
Well, yeah.
He sort of can.
He sort of can.
He's the best.
But that's not how it works on the game, right? No. In the game, it moves in one direction, and when it's gone, it's gone. I think the ability to sort of swing it back and forth over the battlefield
I was thinking to treat
really
it
cool.
more like endless spells, but you can't run it off the edge.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, you could pre-chart some kind of, like, racetrack zippy zip course. So they go whoop, whoop, whoop. Like, in some games, you know how you push a block and it's on ice and it would slide? Treat that same thing with the Bad Moon. So it's like, zoop, hits a wall, zoop.
Yeah, I think something like that would be really cool. I think that might end up in practice when you're playing it a little bit too complicated to figure out. And then people might be like, my Bad Moon moves here. And the other guy's like, no, it doesn't. It moves over there. And then you get an argument between people. So that might be a little too, I like the idea. I just think it'd be too complicated. If you were in a video game, something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
But I think it might be a little too
Bad
complicated.
Moon must be added to Stormground.
But I do think that having a way to manipulate it on the tabletop. Maybe not totally in your control, right? You miss a charge, you don't kill models, and suddenly it's sick of you. It's moving off, right?
Yeah, I just don't want it to run up the edge because then all your bad moon buffs would disappear.
Yeah, that's the thing is when it moves off the edge or before it comes on, there needs to be something.
You can do.
Even if it's not a bad moon thing, there needs to be some other battle trait.
Maybe like
where it's like, okay, the bad moon isn't here, but all the Gloomspite get.
Maybe there should be like a new terrain feature power.
Oh, you know how
like Soulblight have grave sites? I was thinking you could line those up somewhere, and you secretly, like with Coolboys, how you have your dirty tricks.
Mm-hmm.
You secretly choose 3 caves that are connected to your Gloomspite thing. But if your Loon Shrine. But if your Loon Shrine is destroyed, those 3 caves collapse.
So like somebody could move through the Loon Shrine and pop out one of those other caves?
Yeah.
That'd be sort of cool.
So it's something
like a little teleport.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be real neat.
Especially that would be helpful with trolls.
I also think, what was I going to say that I thought I was all excited because I had a really good idea. And then your idea came in and I forgot what it was.
No.
Oh, well.
Something about something that happens around one.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes. Even if the bad moon's on, there should be something else.
Not
and
on.
One thing that might be cool is saying, hey, all the Gloomspite, they're all throwing mushrooms around, or they've got fungus growing everywhere around them, and it gets in people and that sort of stuff.
Maybe
so
that should
maybe
be
they
a
hand
rule.
out.
Maybe a shaman.
Hold on. Let me finish it out. Right. So maybe just like Night Haunt, give everybody a -1 bravery, and Soul Blight up to a -2 bravery.
Ooh.
Maybe just by being near a Gloomspite and their mushroomitude, you get a -1 to wound. So no matter where the bad moon is, that's like their one battle trait that's always around them. And then when the bad moon's on the table, it gives more bonuses, and you're able to have a hand in controlling it.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
I was thinking something that all Gloomspite shamans, all Gloomspite wizards know, where it's like and it's an endless spell-like thing, but it's a wall. You know, like the wall pillars.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but with mushrooms. So you could cast that on like a 7, and it's up, and it gives the -1 wound buff in like a 8-inch radius or something.
Yeah, I
mean, you could put that on an object.
They have other endless spells. We don't have their endless spells, but they have endless spells. And if we wanted to look at getting other endless spells, I'm sure there's a lot of things we could do if we went into the War Scrolls and tried to tweak things. You know, some of the things, the bravery is not super good, and they need to have ways to mitigate that. The fact that you can only use Inspiring Presence on 1 unit now, that does hurt them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that, if we got into the details, I think there's more that we could talk about. But I think big picture, what is going to have the most impact and create the biggest change? I think you're right. I think it's battle traits, Bad Moon, and I think it's the keywords on all the guys.
And I also had one more thing.
What?
They need a War Scroll update. I'm talking about one in particular, the Squig Herd.
Yeah.
Their bravery, like the general idea of a Squig Herd is to run up and kill a couple guys and run away. But their bravery is like 3. And the
idea is when they run, they're going to do mortals, right?
Yeah.
Or they can do mortals. The bad thing,
and they have 24 health.
That might have been better previously, but one, a lot of stuff does mortals now.
Yeah.
So the maybe mortals they do when they run away isn't as impressive as it used to be.
Yeah.
And 2, they're 160 points.
Yeah.
And
Trolls are cheaper.
You're gonna run in, you're gonna do a little damage, and then you're hoping your stuff explodes, and then you can do some mortals when they run. And that's just not 160 points worth of value.
No, it's like 90.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they were under 100,
they'd be useful.
I think we would take a look at it and be like, ooh, let's bring in some Squig Herd, because they're not good to screen.
No.
Because they'll take that first charge. I mean, I guess they would be good to screen because they'll still stop the first charge, but then they'll run away.
It's like they have 24 health because they have 2 health each.
Yeah, but not really, because they're all going to run.
Yeah, because you do you kill
do like 6 wounds, and suddenly you're getting rid of like 10 wounds worth of models.
No, you've done like 12. That's what I have experience with. I lose like half of them with one dead squig.
So I think
there's like 1 mortal.
I think that is that's definitely an issue.
Yeah. Another War Scroll change I'd like to see is just generally with the thing I was talking about, how everything buffs usually everything if you're doing a big WA sort of thing. That's the main War Scroll change.
Yeah.
Also, maybe a Scribe Rot change.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if we went War Scroll by War Scroll, we could talk about things we'd like to see that are different.
I'll get the Gloomspite book.
But I think the major things, like we were talking about, are those battle traits. If we could make those battle traits a little bit more meaningful, that would be a huge, huge change. And if we could give them some battle traits that don't depend on the Bad Moon, and if we could get some control over the Bad Moon,
yeah,
I think Gloomspite would be way more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would do to their competitiveness.
I would kind of like...
I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't hurt their competitiveness.
A cave idea seems cool to me.
Oh yeah, I think the cave idea is good.
Or maybe, like, it's only in narrative, only in Path to Glory, and only when you're being attacked. Because it's like, you're a Warren, so you have control.
Yep, I like that idea. I think it's pretty cool. So anyway...
Or maybe it takes points to bring that in.
All this is based on our own wish casting out of our heads. I would love to know...
Or magic wands.
Or magic wands. I would love to know what you think about Gloomspite, and if there's other factions that you think are in from a casual, just playing with your friends sort of situation. If they're in a rough place, I'd like to, definitely let us know about it in the comments, and we can, discuss, and that'll be cool.
This video will make the Gloomspite better.
I hope something makes the Gloomspite better. You have any final thoughts?
Our tears will make the Gloomspite better.
Our tears.
Please.
All right, well.
We need Gloomspite to be better.
This has been another episode of Battle Ready, and thank you so much for watching.